Hello and welcome to episode 102.
102.
102. Whichever one you want. Sarah is again absent this episode. Our patrons would have heard last week. Why?
She's poorly.
But she's poorly. Her ears have fallen off or something.
Yeah, she unscrewed her belly button and her ears fell off.
Yeah. I mean, rookie mistake, really.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think that's what she said.
So it's just myself and Rosie today. How are you doing, Rosie?
I am all right. I'm in trouble, guys.
Uh-oh.
I'm in trouble. I had a danger nap, and I got vaccinated on Saturday, and I've been so very sleepy. And I woke up to a phone call from Phil asking where I was because we were meant to be recording, and I was like, I'm really sorry, I'll be right there. But yeah, no, I'm good. Apart from that, I've slept a lot this week, and I'm still somehow drowning in boxes. I didn't realise they had so much stuff.
Is it getting somewhere at least?
Yeah, it is. Slowly, yeah. But other than that, life is good. The sun has been shining.
I know, it's such a relief.
There is the end in sight unless Europe send us their third wave of Corona.
God.
Corona V is what I've decided it's called now. Corona V.
That's the name you settled on, is it?
The old Rona. The old sicky tits.
Sicky tits?
Yeah.
That's horrendous.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Well,
I don't
that's
like that.
that's definitely what it is now, the old sicky tits. But yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty upbeat in general.
Good.
I'm looking forward to maybe seeing my family again soon, which would be nice.
I hear that. Hopefully Easter weekend for me. We shall see.
But yeah, how are you, Pip?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been...
Apart from sitting around waiting for half an hour for me.
It's fine. Things are okay. Yeah, I'm good. Had a nice day. We've been doing some decorating. Monica's off this week, so we're having a nice chilled out week, making the most of the sunshine, going to parks and with my daughter and enjoying the sun, and it's all been very nice. However, it was tarnished a bit by the news. I don't know if you've heard, but Jessica Walters has passed.
Oh no!
Yeah, I found out about an hour before we were due to record today.
Oh. Jessica Walters.
Star of Arrested Development and Archer as well, famously these days.
That's really sad.
I know. It kind of marred my day a bit.
Did she die of an illness known to many as death, or was there...
I didn't actually look into too much. It was literally as I was scrolling through Twitter as I was sort of getting ready for the episode. But yeah.
Oh, that is sad.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
She was, wasn't she? Couldn't think of a better Lucille Bluth.
Well.
Yeah, so...
Hopefully she's gone off to see a Star War.
Well done.
Thank you. I was particularly proud that I remembered that reference. Yes. Well done, me.
So now that the mood has been sufficiently brought down, it's my turn this week apparently to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably time we got on with the rest of the show. We have chosen this week, as those of you who have seen our social media have probably surmised, we have chosen Contamination. So you have seen this film before?
I've seen this film like a billion times
before. Okay.
Before.
So this was the first watch for me.
Oh, okay.
So
the first time I saw this was at Prince Charles Cinema in London.
Amazing.
Where there was a horror all-nighter with Arrow Films.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 6 different films, all back-to-back with like a little sort of gap in between them. And it was probably like the 5th film, I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
So by that point, it was all a little bit of a fever dream.
Mm-hmm.
But But I went on to sort of like rewatch it since, and I mean, it's spoilers. I think it's great. I think it's ridiculously fun, and I loved it. And it stands up to like rewatches as well.
I can imagine, yeah.
It's just it's your typical kind of schlocky Italian B movie nonsense, really, isn't
kind of
it?
exactly what you'd expect the film to be like if you heard it was a schlocky 1980s Italian sci-fi horror, really.
Plus Goblin.
But we shall get to that in a bit. I'm just going to do a quick film synopsis, which is as follows. An astronaut, a colonel, and a Brooklyn detective track goo-squirting eggs to their source, a one-eyed monster from Mars. Short and sweet.
Ron Jeremy.
I know, that's exactly the reason why I chose that particular synopsis, because it sounded so horrendous.
Because it's Ron Jeremy. That's, yeah. Gross. Carry on.
I feel this is a lot more in sort of your wheelhouse than it was mine.
Was that the entire synopsis?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I had to pick that one just because of the one-eyed monster from Mars comment.
One-eyed monster and goo squirting, and it does make it sound like a particularly low-budget porn film.
Which kind of brings me on. I was surprised to read... it's a good segue. You'll see why. I was surprised to read that this was put on the video nasty list when it was released. I think it goes to show how kind of the sensibilities of audiences has changed over the years.
Yeah, I would go out on a limb and say that the main reason for that is because they explode a rat.
Fair point, yeah.
like they full on explode a rat. Okay, so basically, this was sort of meant to be the Italian answer to Alien.
In fact, I think it was. It was marketed as such in certain countries as a sequel.
Yeah. Hilarious, obviously, because it has the links are so fucking tenuous. But obviously, Italian remakes or filmed in America. What are you going to do?
I think, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Zombie 2 was the same. Wasn't Zombie 2 like marketed as the sequel to Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah. Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. And like, there's been I'm sure there was a remake of like Zombie Flesh Eaters and stuff, or maybe that was Italian or something. Anyway, they're known for taking prominent horror films and putting
we can do
wonderful spin on them. Yeah, we can do that with 5% of the budget and none of the talent. But rather than being in space, a bunch of boxes of coffee are found on a like tanker, and they're full of these weird eggs that everyone's like, maybe it's a mango, maybe it's an avocado. Like, it's definitely none of those things.
As a little,
it's glowing for a start.
For sure, yeah. As a little like, this is funny, I wrote, oh look, they're avocados. Minutes
an avocado. Thanks.
Minutes before in the film they were like, oh, it could be an avocado, which totally took the wind out of my sails. It's like, oh, fine. You made the same comment as I did.
I mean, you clearly have the same comic sensibilities as a 70s Italian man.
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's the level of my comedy
to match. But yeah, they think it's a free shavakadu.
Free shavakadu from Delta Hacker.
I've crowbarred both avocado memes, both avocado vines into this now. But yeah, it's glowing. It's like pulsating and humming and glowing. And they're like, maybe it's a kind of fruit.
I would take that back to Tesco if one of my avocados was humming and glowing. Get it returned.
I bought this Hass avocado and it's pulsating. And I don't feel comfortable putting this into my guacamole. What are you gonna do? Can I have club card points, please? That's what they should have done.
One way to get rid of them, I suppose.
Well, realistically, had they taken all of those avocados back to Tesco's, they would have made a fucking killing.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, when they exploded.
Zing.
Zing!
I particularly enjoyed that opening scene because they're flying over in the helicopter, looking at this tanker below them, and they make a point of saying there's not a soul in sight in this helicopter, and then they cut back to a shot. How can they see? Well, they cut back to a shot of literally two people chilling out on deck.
There's not a soul in sight apart from those two guys.
I can only assume that when it was filmed, it was obviously filmed for like 4:3, and that would have cut off the people on deck in shot. But when it was re-released, when it was kind of
that would have made
digitized,
a lot of sense.
It was given a widescreen treatment, which then allowed you to see these people that are just on deck doing their thing.
That would have made a lot of sense also. But what if everyone's below deck as well? What if everyone's just indoors? What if they're having a party?
That is a fair point with all those avocados too. Like, imagine the guacamole.
All they need are some tortilla chips and and a piñata, and that's a party in a box.
Or in a tanker.
Or a tanker, yeah. They would have had a wonderful time. I wouldn't have come out with that much guacamole. I love guacamole. Anyway, they I find it really odd that they were like, no, we can't see anybody. And apart from the fact they clearly could see some people, like, why weren't they just indoors? But also, is there only a crew of like 3 people on that entire tanker? Like, in my memory, working ships have a pretty full complement of people aboard.
I'd imagine so, like doing kind of, days-long voyages across the world. Yeah, you'd expect it to have a fair few people, like, with all the running and the maintenance of the ship.
Yeah. And it takes them a good sort of, 5 to 10 minutes to find the first dead guy, who happens to be the captain. Mm-hmm. Worth noting at this point, the physical effects in this film, considering the budget, are fucking brilliant.
I like all the people with, like, suspiciously big torsos.
Yeah, they all just have beer bellies. Because they've been eating so much guacamole.
It's a blood explosion. I didn't see that coming.
It's that wonderful like pink opaque blood as well. Like the blood that they've clearly mixed up in a bucket with a stick attached to a drill.
Like ketchup, mayonnaise. mix it.
Yeah. Some red paint that we found. They've clearly added a lot of stuff together. So when I was in Dead Set.
Oh yeah. Claim to fame.
When I was in Dead Set, we basically got I wasn't part of the group that it happened to, but they literally got hosed down with fake blood.
Really?
Yeah, that was pretty funny to watch, because it was a little bit like, when people get a water cannon put on them in the middle of a protest. It was like that, but with blood. It was very enjoyable to watch. But they attached like fake blood and guts to us, and it always astounds me like how realistic things can look with stuff you found around your kitchen. Because what they used was red food colouring. They used like fake blood, obviously, but they used like fake blood and red food colouring, corn syrup and Cocoa Pops.
Cocoa Pops?
Yeah, Cocoa Pops to be like bits chunks of viscera. And it looked so effective. And they were like spreading it down on like arms and chest and stuff, and I was like, this looks disgusting.
I just like,
and they were like, but
eating it, just casually picking it off.
Yeah, they were like, but it tastes really good. Because it was just like sugary syrup and Cocoa Pops.
Is that zombie eating himself? What did I tell you about eating yourself? Cut.
You're meant to eat other people. But yeah, it always amazes me, and stuff like when they make food that's steaming in adverts, it's actually like a tampon that's been dipped in water and put in a microwave.
Yeah, there's all sorts of
because
like...
it holds loads of water and they just put it behind the food.
Like food photography is so weird, isn't it?
Oh, it's so weird. And like getting raw sausages and painting them with Marmite to make them look cooked.
Yeah,
and...
milk? Nah, PVA glue. Just pour PVA glue in your cereal. It'll look amazing.
No, that does not sound as tasty as Cocoa Pops and syrup. But yeah, so they find a hilariously pink dead man. I love the effects all the way throughout this film, actually. I think they are really in keeping with the rest of the film, because it's they must know at this point that it doesn't look in the slightest bit realistic. I mean, they're not stupid. And I think that they've kind of seen how schlocky and fake it looks, and they've really lent into it. Like, they have what is effectively balloons under people's shirts full of pink paint, and they've just gone and popped it. Yeah, bang! And again, with the eggs exploding, like, they've just filled it up with goop, and it's clearly a papier-mâché figure that's been put around a balloon, and then somebody's just, like, I don't know, shot it with an air rifle or something. But they really lent into it, and I think I have no idea what the budget for this film was, actually. I'm going to make the assumption they spent all of it on the tanker and Goblin.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And maybe travelling to South America. But for the money that they had, I think they did a really stellar job. I think they did a really great job.
I think it's as you said before, it's exactly the type of film you expect to watch, and I think because they weren't trying too hard, you can just kind of sit back and enjoy it for what it is, rather than being disappointed that it's not as good as it should be or could be.
You can almost still kind of maintain that suggestion of like disbelief. Like it's not outside of the realms of possibility to be watching what you're watching. Whereas if you had like a really high budget film with incredible like digital effects, and you know, like if you had, I don't know, fucking Anthony Nolan's Batman or something, and then he got shot and like loads of pink paint fell out of him, that would be pretty jarring. But yeah, with the film being what it is, you know, there's no, you can still maintain that suspension of disbelief, and you can still be like, yeah, this is realistic. I can live with this. I can deal with this. Because everything's in a kind of slightly alternate plane of reality with Goblin.
Yeah. Before I'd actually read up on it, it did not surprise me at all that this was kind of aping Alien. Like, I was like, oh, eggs, eggs, aliens.
Eggs on a ship.
Yeah. It felt very on the nose, I suppose.
A woman leading the fray. And it's the... I mean, it's not even really the woman that sort of like saves the day. She's no Sigourney Weaver.
Well, few people are really.
My question and therefore issue with the film is, where's the cat?
Valid point.
Where the fuck is the cat? I want the cat.
You always want the cat.
Yeah, of course. It's a ginger cat.
Why is there not to love?
I found out the other day that there's a theory that ginger cats have one brain cell between them and they have to share it.
That would not surprise me, having met a few ginger cats in my life.
I was like, oh, it's never been Fawkes' turn, has it?
Bless him.
He's such an idiot. And he's staring at me. I think I'm in trouble again. He did hear me. I called him Fatty McBoombox last night, and he walked away from me, disgusted.
This film felt particularly poignant around like the quarter of a minute mark, when all of a sudden there's mentions of epidemics and people wearing masks and quarantines. And like, oh no, I can't get away from it.
It's pretty much impossible to get away from at the moment. And I can see why. So when the pandemic properly first like kicked in, there was a massive upsurge on people streaming Contagion.
Yes. Yeah, no, I heard that.
Like, do you not have enough of this shit in your own life at the moment that you have to spend your fun-free time watching about a deadly disease that's wiping out the planet?
Mm-hmm. Give me all the escapism, please.
So that's when I signed up for Disney Plus.
Yes. I hope you haven't regretted it.
I've barely fucking used it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's been awful. I don't know, I got like 6 months free with my phone contract or something, and then it's been just added to my phone bill afterwards, so I haven't even really noticed it going out. But I have watched one episode of The Mandalorian, and Mum and Dad have used it more than me. They've been watching all of the like hilarious documentaries that Disney make about the old Mayan civilizations and stuff, like ancient astronaut theory. So they're having a wicked time. But no, I own it, and that's enough for me.
It's there if you need it. That's the important thing.
Oh, I watched all the Pixar shorts.
Oh, good. Okay, that's just
because adorable.
Yeah, like that's worth any amount of money, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I basically paid for them to be made. That's fine with the amount of money. But yeah, like I honestly don't know why we picked this film. Maybe it's because it was topical. I think it was because it was a bit of comic relief. But you're right, we just can't get away from it. It seems like every single thing that we do, there's a mask or an illness or everyone's dying, and this is the cross we bear for covering horror films.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't us, it'd be someone else. So I'm just going to pretend that's true and be happy with it.
It could literally be no one else.
No, someone has to, and it's going to be us because we're martyring ourselves for you guys.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Be happy, okay? Be grateful.
Be happy, and also sign up to our Patreon. I had completely forgotten about the rat.
One of my notes was just, no, the rat. It made me so sad.
I'd completely forgotten that he exploded. He turned inside out and then he exploded. It was bad times. It's not a real rat, is it?
I hope not. I hope not. I didn't think to look it up. I assumed it wasn't because I don't remember it being a continuous shot, which presumed they cut away to something that looked rat-like but wasn't actually a rat.
I mean, the thing that I am going to put down as like my thoughts on it is that had they exploded a rat, that's maybe more than their budget would have allowed. How do you explode a rat? Phil, how would you explode a rat?
I would try my hardest not to, I think.
Bearing in mind how good you are at doing the exact opposite of what you intend to do, how would you explode a rat? You'd have to use some kind of detonator, wouldn't you?
Like I was trying to work out what I would
you couldn't like
feed it to have it.
Do rats fart?
I've never owned a rat. I would expect so, yes, but
you say that, but like goats can't.
Oh, really?
Goats can't fart. Today I'm schooling you. Goats can't fart. Neither can pigeons. Birds can't.
Oh, I feel enriched for this knowledge.
Otherwise, like imagine a murmuration of starlings, and you're out in the early evening watching this majestic display of birds, and they're all just farting.
A chorus of tiny bird farts.
I mean, I wish birds farted. But nay, nary a fart in sight. So can rats fart? Answers on a postcard, please.
Why don't you just message us on Instagram if you're in a rat and you've heard it fart? Message us on social media.
Cats fart, and it's fucking horrible.
I'm sure they do.
Oh my god. But my theory behind it is if they don't fart, then presumably you just give them something that makes them gassy, and eventually they're like,
no.
Right? I mean, admittedly, a horrible way to die, but
just
that's
maximize
one way.
the agony as much as we can.
It's technically one way that you can make a rat explode.
That is true. Technically.
Give it lemonade.
Spill it with carbonated water.
This rat is a secret lemonade drinker. And if you get that reference, then you are both British and very old.
I don't...
Because Phil doesn't get it.
What is it?
I'm a Secret Lemonade Drinker was an advertisement campaign from R.W. White's back in the early 90s. And they did things like send out promo packs with like writing paper and stuff that said, I'm a secret lemonade drinker at the bottom. And we have some of that writing paper because we're very cool in our family. But yeah, it's one of those hyper niche references that somehow lives rent-free in my brain. And every time I say it, in a room of like 50 people, one person would be like, hey!
It's like how you can go up to any British person and go, 0800 00, and they'll know the answer. You don't know the answer, do you? Hastings Direct, 1066. It was a...
Oh, wait, what? When was that?
Like 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
10 years ago, I don't think I had a TV. I'd already moved out. Had I? Had I? Shit, yeah, I had. Oh, fucking hell, yeah, I had.
Anyway, so...
Oh, no.
How is this film for rewatching? Is it just as enjoyable, or...
Yes, if not more so.
Okay.
Purely from the point of view of... Once you've watched it, you obviously know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
You can get like a fair idea of what the film's going to be like.
Just by questioning the questionable dubbing.
Yeah, I mean, and like who it's by, and I know I keep harking back to Goblin, but as soon as you've got a Goblin soundtrack, you know you're in for a good time.
I was surprised how varied that soundtrack was, actually.
I'm surprised how fucking jarring that soundtrack was. It was about 10 times louder than the rest of the film. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I feel like once you've seen the film and you really settle yourself with the idea of like, oh, this is very silly. This is very silly, and it looks very silly. And when they're in South America and the dubbing for like the one black guy that they talk to is Foghorn Leghorn, apparently. It's like, I say, we're in a coffee plantation. Like, what is going on? And just the characters are so larger than life. Like, but as soon as you settle yourself with all of that, having watched it once, then it becomes like a really fun time for everyone.
Interesting. Okay, because again, like it was the first time I've watched it. And I knew a bit about what to expect just because of the film, the description I've heard about it. But I think it's very, I mean, we're perhaps getting ahead of ourselves because it sounds like a wrap-up, but it's very much a film I think you would enjoy more with friends. And a bit of drink.
Having watched it the first time in a cinema whilst a bit drunk.
Yeah, that's almost
a crowd that really gets involved.
And presumably very
like
sleep deprived at that point if it's the fifth film into it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, like zero sleep at all. Didn't have a nap or anything. So yeah, it was pretty hardcore. But I absolutely agree with you. I think it's definitely a film to watch for the first time at least with other people. Yeah. Like it deserves riffing on.
Yeah, and I think actually Riff Tracks they riffed over it. I think I remember.
Oh, I'm
reading.
gonna have to find that. I think that'd be super enjoyable
for sure. Yeah.
I would like to talk for a second about the main characters within the film. So I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember any of their names because I saw this film about 3 days ago, and you know what my head skeleton, skull, brain. You know what my brain is like. It's like that, basically. It's about that functioning. What I'm going to assume is very Italian man who was on the tanker who doesn't get killed by the egg first off.
Okay, yeah.
Like the one who lasts all the way through the film. And he's like, I'm freezing my balls off in here. And he like does a really grandiose gesture of having absolutely gargantuan testicles. That one. Yeah. That guy. Like, no man who is talking through a glass window is gonna, like, charade his own testicles. What a wholesome and yet incredibly creepy man.
Yep.
Don't know how I feel about him.
Sorry, carry on.
No.
Oh, I was curious about where that was going. I'm immensely annoyed this episode. So when I watched this film, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it easier on myself. I'm going to write down all my notes on my phone and have them to hand, just so I can look at them whenever I need to, rather than writing down on paper.
Oh no, it's a terrible idea.
Got a new phone. And my notes app synced up to my laptop. And just as I opened up the notes app on my computer, I was like, I'll have them on the screen, it'd be amazing. I lost them. So at this point I was like, I'm going to write down all the characters, all the actors, the writer, director, like everything, and have it all to hand and be really organised. And
you realise that this is what me and Sarah do every show, right?
What? Lose your notes?
No, make notes.
I make notes, I've just lost them all.
The dog ate my homework. My new phone ate my homework. So, I'll be honest, because I've seen this film so many times, I had a bit of a, and I was quite wind up the other night. I was like, I had a bit of a push of confidence, and I was like, it's all right. I'll remember what happens. I'll remember all the names of everybody. It's fine. I know this film like the back of my hand. Turns out I was drunk. No, I don't. So I've got no notes and I've got no idea what anyone's called. Fantastic. So I'm going to call him the Italian guy with the big balls.
So the policeman was called Tony Aris.
Tony Aris?
Lieutenant Tony Aris. Well, the trio, there's Commander Ian Hubbard, who is the English astronaut. Stella Holmes.
We'll get on to him.
Stella Holmes, who is the colonel who is in charge of the investigation. And
the colonel who's a lady? Surely not.
How progressive. And Lieutenant Tony Aris from the New York Police Department.
I both fail to believe and I can absolutely believe that man is a lieutenant in the police force. He is both ineffective and creepy enough.
Feel like it's outside of his jurisdiction as well. A little.
Like a lieutenant dealing with aliens.
Doesn't seem like his remit, really, does it?
No, I don't. How far are lieutenants up?
I have.
Do you have any idea?
Zero idea.
Do you even get lieutenants in the police?
According to the film Contamination, you do.
Right. Okay. I see. I get you. I see. And then Colonel is like, that's quite high up, isn't it?
Yeah,
Colonel?
I think she was like, I think she even says
she was running that show.
She's the one in charge of it all. So I think she specifically calls to that in the film itself.
Yeah, because he's like, you're a fucking dame. What are you talking about? And she's like, actually, I outrank you. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Colonel. I'm so sorry I showed you my ballsack. they have a really odd dynamic. Like, they basically don't talk to each other for quite a lot of the film, and then, I mean, spoilers, they end up tied up in South Africa, and
America.
He's like, South America, sorry. And he's like, you know, I always loved you. And she's like, I can't love a man. And then kissed him on the cheek and was like, I'm sorry, it's not a blowjob. And he was like, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. That's how I remember it anyway.
I would pay good money to see you reenact the entire film like that.
I'm sorry, it's not a blowjob. Like, what an odd dynamic. So does he just fall in love with her from afar? Or does he love her because she is a colonel?
Well,
or because she didn't actively retch when he made a gesture towards his monumental gonads?
Apparently I was looking into it. Apparently the producer insisted, because I think when Luigi Cozzi, who in the film is called Lewis Coates, apparently, kind of came to the producers with his script, the producers insisted that it has more of like a James Bond angle to it than was originally decided. So,
right, but who's James Bond?
The policeman. I would imagine, based on.
But again, spoilers.
He's rubbish.
He dies. James Bond doesn't die.
That's a fair point. But he's.
I feel like
see...
no. So okay, you have just said that the dumb can't get with women Italian man is James Bond, as opposed to the dashing alcoholic British man who's had a hard life.
That is a fair point, but they have a slightly different job titles. I was going by purely job alone. He's the closest thing to a secret agent they have in the police force.
He's a lieutenant in the police. Hubbard's an astronaut. A sexy astronaut.
Okay, so you wanted to...
And James Bond's been into space.
That is true.
As far as I know. I've actually only ever seen one James Bond film.
And it was not Moonraker, presumably.
It was not Moonraker, no. It was one very much on the planet. I can't remember which one it was. Oh, Skyfall. Oh, that one.
A Daniel Craig one.
It was
Skyfall. Okay, so...
Skyfall. Yeah. You were saying.
You said that we should get back to talking about Commander Ian Hubbard earlier in the episode, so I feel like now is a good time for you to say what you were going to say about Commander Ian Hubbard.
I am going to do that just as soon as I've written down the name Commander Ian Hubbard, because I will forget.
Crowbarring the names in as much as I can to remind you. To be honest, I'm reminding myself more than anything.
So, Mother Hubbard.
Yep.
Had a child who turned out to be an astronaut.
Yep.
And because he grew up in a shoe, he got a lot of issues surrounding alcoholism.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you would.
Growing up in a shoe,
yeah, for sure.
There's very few windows.
Pretty cramped as well.
Where's the door?
I mean, at the top,
you have
presumably.
To lace yourself. Well, yeah, unless there's a hole in it.
Pretty wet as well when it rains.
You have to lace yourself in every night. It's got to be horrible. Can't smell great. Anyway, I would say that was child abuse, but going on. He is like a weirdly dashing character, considering the nature of the film and the fact that he's basically just a bit of an arsehole. Maybe it's because that's like my comfort zone of what I accept within men. But a bit of an arsehole seems to be my like. Yes, that's what I like. So I was a big fan of Ian Hubbard, and I particularly enjoyed the part where he just punched the Colonel in the face.
Yeah, of course.
Like, they're just having an argument about, like, I don't know, you don't know what it's like in space. I do know what it's like in space. No, you don't. You're a woman. Buff. Just punched her, and then she's like, "Oh, I like a man who punches a woman," or something. I can't remember. And then they look like they're gonna mac. like that's the most alluring thing that a man could possibly do, is just get like a left hook.
I'm not even going to joke about like remembering that for future reference, because that's horrendous.
I mean, it's absolutely horrendous, and like, wow, what the fuck? This was clearly a very different time when, I mean, you were allowed to hit anyone, let alone a woman who's just being nice to you and asking you to go to South America. Jesus. She basically said, "You want to go on holiday?" And he was like, "I will punch you in the face for suggesting that. How dare you?"
A colonel, no less.
A colonel. And he's like, "Do you understand me now?" And she's like, "Yes, I understand you completely." No, that's not acceptable. Don't put that in the film.
It was like memory transfer that she got punched and all of his... Oh. Yeah, that's how it worked. It was sci-fi, right?
So what you're saying... Yeah, so it's a mind meld.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only explanation. That's the only logical explanation I can think of.
So it's a Vulcan mind meld, but with one
punches.
hand closed into a fist.
Yes, exactly this.
I genuinely feel a lot better about that now.
I mean, it's not his fault. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down that route any further.
She shouldn't have been wearing a face so punchable or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was awful, and I do not approve in the slightest. But yeah, just okay. I can deal with like a face to fist mind meld.
You're welcome.
That's what I think. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's what we should stick with. But between that and the rat, like there were some moments in this film that I was a bit like, "Ooh, this hasn't aged so great."
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I don't know if there's ever a point in which an exploding rat was age appropriate, but
I think in his defense, not in his defense at all.
Wait a minute.
I know. I realized as soon as I said it. More his reluctance to come along.
In his defense, she had a very punchable face.
In his defense, in his assholishness, I can understand he'd be traumatized by
he'd seen some having lived in a shoe.
Exactly, lived in a show, seen some alien eggs from the film Alien, and then was told he was lying, or was like forgot about it, or I can't remember the exact situation.
Right. So what happens is he goes to Mars with his mate, Brother Hubbard. Can't remember what his name is either. Barnaby. Who knows?
Was it Hamilton? Hamilton, I think.
You see, why do I feel like Hubbard is the guy who was meant to have died? I think you've got the names wrong. I think Hubbard was the guy who was meant to have died and didn't die. And I think Hamilton is the dashing British guy.
I'm just going by the cast list on Wikipedia.
I mean, who fucking cares at this point? So,
I mean, so the guy who plays Hamilton was a guy called Siegfried Rauch, who is German. And the guy who plays Ian Hubbard is Ian McCulloch, who is Scottish. So make of that what you will.
No, I'm pretty sure Hubbard's the one that was meant to have died.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
Sure. But anyway, he'd seen some shit, right?
Anyway, yeah, so they go to Mars on a space expedition because they are looking for signs of life, etc. They find fucking water on Mars. Mm-hmm. Nobody talks about that.
Fair point. Yeah, they talk about like ice caps.
They're like in an Arctic tundra.
Yeah, because Mars is well known for having vast expanses of ice.
Yeah, it's super cold on Mars. So yeah, they find fucking water, and nobody's like, "Hey, let's terraform that shit."
Maybe they forgot. Maybe they forgot their red filter when they were shooting that.
What, the bottom of a bottle of like cherry tango or something?
It's fine. We'll put a red filter over it. The snow will look like dust. And it looked like Mars, and then they forgot their red filter, and they just had to pretend it was deliberate and it was snow.
It'll all be very Martian, I promise.
I mean, they dubbed it all anyway, so they could say whatever they wanted to.
That's true. They could have just made up whatever the fuck they wanted, realistically, couldn't they? So they... Weirdly, they dub what is already spoken in English with what I assume is a terrible accent. Hence it being dubbed over. The Colonel specifically actually speaks English all the way through, but she's dubbed. So yeah, they find like 1 billion alien avocados, and then they see the one-eyed monster, the Cyclops, but you don't see that. Yeah, you just see this like bright light, all very spooky. Hubbard, I'm going to call him because I think that's what he's called. Loses his Goram mind.
Nice.
Thanks. He goes like full crazy and isn't the same after that. And Hamilton, remember? Hamilton's like, no, don't look at the crazy Cyclops. But he's obviously terrified. He's obviously very, very traumatized man.
Of course.
Having lived in a shoe and then been confronted by alien avocados. So he turns to drink.
But if it's Hamilton, that joke doesn't work anymore. If he's called Hamilton, then he was president of the United States, right? And that's why he's traumatized.
Far be it for me to decide who gets to live in a shoe and who doesn't.
All right, I will concede on that.
I'm not a god. It's not my choice. I'm not judging. But yeah, nobody back on Earth believes him, and Hubbard's like, no, I didn't see a Cyclops. I didn't see any eggs. I'm a shitty little shithead. And Hamilton's like, no, there were definitely eggs. I definitely saw one. I can categorically state I absolutely 100% saw at least one egg. And they're like, nah, the crazy guy said that you didn't, so we're going to go with him.
Because that's the natural decision to make.
Yeah, go with the crazy guy.
Okay.
Because they generally tell the truth.
Yeah, so like no wonder he's in a bit of a bad mood and a bit reluctant to tag along with their expedition because he's been
the ragtag crew
the
ragtag crew of an Italian policeman, a US Army colonel, and him.
Exactly.
I would be reticent to tag along.
Okay.
So sorry, who's going to South? Nah. No. Yeah, and so who's having guns? You're giving who guns? I don't fucking think so. But yeah, they realise that the eggs are from South America, from a coffee plantation.
Yes,
because
they track the boxes to a company.
Yeah, I think it's right. Okay, my issue herewith is if you were transporting illegal, exploding alien eggs across the country, would you pack them in a box that had your name on the front of it?
I like that that's your issue in this entire film. That's the issue that stands out.
It seems really like that. What is this, fucking amateur hour? You dub your other company in,
like
you
dub your competition.
Yeah.
Like Starbucks.
You'd put their name. Yeah, you'd put their name on the box. You'd be like, oh yeah, this is Starbucks' eggs. I don't know what you're talking about. I've got nothing to do with it. And then they wouldn't fucking come to your plantation looking for all the eggs.
See,
idiots.
You should have been the police woman that went along.
No, I should have been fucking growing the eggs.
No. Okay, fine. If you want to do that, that's fine.
I could have taken over the goddamn world. All for the love of our one-eyed Cyclops, Ron Jeremy.
Tying it back.
I'm good at that.
So they get to Colombia, I think. Somewhere in South America.
Colombia.
And surprise, the astronaut who was missing, who is either Hamilton or Hubbard, whichever one we decided, is alive and well. And
you say well?
Alive, at least.
he's clearly an asshole. Yeah, no, he's still kicking. He's about. He doesn't give two shits who knows it at this point. And then you are treated to the bathroom scene, which is incredibly elongated and is about 5 minutes. So the Colonel, what's her name, Phil? Stella Holmes, that's it. So yes. Stella goes for a shower before dinner because if she's going to get killed by alien eggs, she'd like to be wearing no underpants. So she goes for a shower before dinner, and a creepy son of a bitch breaks into her hotel room and plants an egg in the bathroom and locks the door. Ba 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 ba. And it's pulsating and glowing because it's a warm, humid environment. And she's like, "Let me out." And the egg's like, "Warm, warm, warm." But she's like, "Let me out." And the egg's like, "Warm, warm, warm." Ad infinitum, apparently. Like, she should have died in that room. That was a very hot room.
Quite some time, that scene, I must say.
I'm going to say a solid 5 minutes. They either timed that egg really badly, or this is completely unbelievable.
Which one would you say?
I'm going to go with a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
I think that's sensible.
But there was like a dashing and heroic rescue by Hamilton Hubbard. That's what I reckon we should call him now.
Yeah.
And
split the difference. He's like, called Hubbleton.
Hubbleton. Hamilbard.
Hamilbard.
Hamilbard. He's his Scandinavian cousin. My name is Mikkels Hamilbard. So yeah, he does like this dashing rescue, and I can't work out if I think he's really good or really bad at breaking down doors.
Okay, interesting.
I was thinking about this when I was watching the film, because it takes him a few goes. There are 2 doors to break down, granted, so he's going to be a bit tired by the second one. But like the first one, he's like, ba-bam! Ba-bam! And it opens. And the second one, it seems like he has real trouble with it.
I mean, screw like dramatic tension. It's like he's clearly having trouble with it.
Yeah, it's like it's a door that had a tiny lock on it that somebody went clink and then left.
In fairness,
you would that a difficult door to open?
You would have expected the exterior door to the like flat area to be more secure than
like a chub lock on it or something.
Yeah, like it would be.
Nah, it's made of rice paper. He just farted near it and it fell down.
Is he a bird?
Yeah. No, because he farted and birds can't fart.
Of course.
You buffoon.
Don't know why I even asked.
you fucking nincompoop. I find all of the dynamics between the characters really odd. They all seem to be in love with each other without actually knowing each other at all. And perhaps that's a particularly Italian style of filmmaking.
Maybe.
That I am unaware of.
Or maybe it's just poor script writing.
Yeah, like they don't know anything about each other. In fact, by rights, Hamilton should just fucking hate Stella. Because Stella basically poo-pooed all of his ideas about the eggs when he first came back from Mars. So the fact that they've got it's a sexy love tryst. Who's gonna get with Stella, the mediocre looking woman in the film?
The only woman they have as a protagonist.
the only woman. There's the blonde woman who's with Hubbard. Hubbleton.
She's not quite of a major player though, is she? So
no. I feel like her character was underused as well.
Yeah.
She could have been Hubbleton's like female Bond villain.
Ooh, yeah.
Do you know? Because she leads them on like a tour of the coffee plantation after Foghorn Leghorn's taken them to the place. And she's like, oh, yes, this is where we have the coffee. Maybe you could come and try some coffee. Yes, coffee. I could just see her with like a fluffy white cap.
Okay,
being
yeah.
like, Hamilton, we meet again. Would you like some coffee?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would have been pretty cool. And then it would have made her demise all the more pleasurable.
That is a valid point. Yeah,
I think they missed a trick, basically.
You should let Lewis Coates know. Luigi Cozzi. So back to the talk of like the interference by the producers. And we're jumping ahead a bit as well. Apparently...
Are we? We're basically at the end of the film now.
I'm like trying to fill in all the gaps as I go.
Fuck it.
So obviously they find the Cyclops, who tries to mind control them all as they about to kill him.
What did you think of the Cyclops?
Well, so this is what I was going to say. I thought it was very underwhelming.
Yeah.
And there are scenes in which you can see the piano wire that's just like or the fishing wire that's holding up the tentacles. Like, is this Thunderbirds? Is this just like a knockoff Thunderbirds?
But do you not see that as being like a really wonderful little
like
part
of
low budget? Yeah, like, do you not?
No.
I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where because they. I guess because it is such a nod to Alien and the xenomorph is so iconic.
And the xenomorph in this film is like a papier-mâché lamp with a torch inside it.
Yeah, exactly. It feels a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But apparently what happened was they'd initially designed it to be stop motion. Or at least they'd intended it to be stop motion.
Every scene in this film was considered for stop motion animation. It's so Garth Marenghi, the whole
ridiculous.
thing. I went to Harvard and I got an A. You were saying...
I want to rewatch that so badly now.
She was like a candle in the wind. Unreliable. Anyway.
But the producer stepped in and demanded it was an animatronic. And they made the animatronic, but due to a mechanism failure, all that worked were like the things you see moving in the actual film itself. And
like
so
the tentacles and the weird long asshole.
Pretty much everything else was not working as intended, and so the whole thing just became super underwhelming because not only was it animated as they intended, which would have provided so much more potential for dynamic movement. They also had a dodgy robot that only worked half as well as it should have done.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of now I've said that I can't remember. Oh fuck, what are they called? The aliens in The Simpsons.
Kang Kodos.
Yeah. But like their breed.
Yeah, I can't remember the actual race of them.
It really reminded me of them to the point where I wondered if Matt Groening kind of got inspiration for them, because they're like a big head with a one yellow eye and then tentacles.
It's a valid
and it made me wonder if like he got the inspiration from Contamination, because he seems like the kind of guy to watch like schlocky B-movie horror films, you know?
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm looking back at it now you mention it, I can totally see it, like down to the like eyebrow.
yeah, exactly. But what it reminded me of was apart from that, like a giant costume that someone would wear at like a fairground.
Like a sports mascot.
Just a huge head and tiny legs. And a gaping butthole.
And like 5 mouths or something like that.
That's
like
the butthole.
Okay.
That's the bit I was referring to. Like the snake-like butthole
appendage
that eats people. Yeah, I don't know what it's meant to be. I guess a mouth. It can eat a person whole. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the alien? Was that your general feeling towards it, or?
I felt like the top half of it was really shit and the bottom half of it was really cool. So like the top half, which is the like Kang head with the yellow light that they've nicked off of a roadworks and put inside it. I felt like
look, now that you mention it, that totally looks like a traffic light.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think it is. No, you know those yellow like self-contained lanterns that they put on the edge of roadworks so that
like
cars
on the
don't go into them. Yeah, like I think it's one of those.
Looking at it, that would not surprise me in the slightest.
That's what I'd use. It makes perfect sense to me, but it's clearly a torch of some description, and it's like flashing. So me, so the top part of it, I was like, very disappointing. Does remind me of those aliens though. But the bottom part of it with all the like wiggly bits and goop, all about that.
We like wiggly bits and goop here on Radio Gorepress.
Are we going to go that far? Are we going to say that?
You said it.
I didn't.
That was your favourite bit of the entire film, Rosie.
My favourite bit in the entire film was when the Colonel got punched in the face. I'm so ashamed.
So hard to distance ourselves from that moment.
I know. I'm so ashamed to admit that, but it was just. It was so funny.
Very strong, like Nick Cage punching people in a bear costume vibes.
Yeah, 100%. Like it was utterly ridiculous. It was apropos of nothing, just whoop-pow. Yeah, it was great. No, it's awful. I can't help.
I mean, we're kind of like barreling towards the end right now anyway, aren't we? So
yeah, we're snowballing it. Unfortunately, Tony Harris, if that's his real name, carks it.
And as well as other astronauts, the one that isn't
Hamilton.
But Hubbleton, sure, yeah.
Hubbleton,
he falls down dead because apparently he was naught but a puppet of...
Again, he exploded in a manner most satisfying.
You could tell by his expansive torso.
I think he was just a very large-chested man.
But only for that one shot.
Yeah.
He just got really ripped for this one shot.
He took his time to get super hench for that one shot because he knew that was his last shot of the film, and he wanted to leave people. He wanted to leave people with a good impression.
Did it work?
No. Still think he was a bit of a dickhead.
All that work for nothing.
And then he just exploded. So sorry, Hubbleton, but it was for naught. All for naught.
And then after that we get the inevitable shot of a busy city and surprise, surprise, there's still an egg out there.
Yeah, what? Actually, I'm putting my pen down now.
Okay, in the last 5 minutes of the film, this is
what I take a major issue with. Who the fuck found an egg, picked it up, took it out to the middle of the street with nobody seeing, and left it in a bin? The military. It was a military operation to wipe these eggs from the face of the planet. Like, they used flamethrowers and they froze them. And they went to warehouses and they tracked the source of them. Who the fuck is just walking around with one singular egg, untouched, that they decided to leave in a bin?
I mean, if I saw an avocado in the bin, I wouldn't think anything of it.
I mean, fine, but what happens once it explodes? A couple of people explode, done.
Yeah, it does seem a little... Because it's not as if that's a... It's not like the Thing whereby, it could unleash a plague upon humanity
This is it. Otherwise, they'd only need one egg at the beginning, right?
Right, yeah.
They'd need like a 0.0. So their 0.0 that they've got after everything's been wiped out is an egg that has, a danger radius of about 5 meters.
It felt like they were like desperate to shoehorn in the idea of maybe a sequel.
There's a sequel, there's one more egg, it's gonna explode.
Didn't really like plan for that, so they're just like, what can we do? There's an egg there. And they didn't,
egg in the bin.
That was it. And they didn't think anything about it.
Fucking literally, fallout radius of 5 meters, it explodes, maybe 2 people get hurt, fin. No more problems.
It makes me wonder what their plan was with the shipment of eggs. They'd explode, and there was no indication of like baby aliens, was there?
Well, I think their plan was to plant them in bins all over the country. Start off with the hobos and then work their way up.
It isn't the most well thought out operation, is it really?
Well, no, which is why it was so easy to foil, because they had a crazy man running it.
Who labels the exact location of where they're storing the eggs, apparently.
He may as well have put a fucking GPS tracker on them with a, sat-nav back.
Just a big old map that says, we are here.
It literally has an X on the box.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the issues I have with this film are many and quite stupid, but issues they were.
And that yet being you enjoy it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's such a fucking fun time. I think it is well worth at least one watch, and just riffing on it, just ripping the shit out of it, because it thoroughly deserves it, and it's super fun. I mean, clearly the guys who made it tried really, really hard, but it's just a really funny film.
I think that's the thing. When I was watching it, it felt like, because a lot of my notes were kind of things I would have said had we all been in the same room.
Yeah.
Like you say, just riffing off of it, and not necessarily things you can say in the podcast that would make sense out of context.
This would have been a really good film for a Gorementary.
But yeah, because of the situation, we've all watched this in separate rooms.
I love that this has become the situation, or the way things are.
Because of these unprecedented circumstances.
I want times to be precedented again.
I know, I miss precedented times.
You were saying.
I think this is had I watched the film at, for example, Prince Charles Cinema, or with you guys in the same room with alcohol, I think
because I'd need alcohol.
Yeah, but it's very much like have a couple of drinks and watch a trashy movie, isn't it? That's the type of film it is.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's not it's definitely not a film to be taken seriously.
Exactly. And I think having watched it on my own, in my living room sober, whilst it was fun and enjoyable, it wouldn't be something I'd be jumping to watch again. But I think that's very very contextual, is what I'm saying,
Yeah, I guess when I've done that before, it's felt a little bit like being the sober person at a party full of drunk people having a good time.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the most enjoyable thing that I can imagine. So yeah, I get you. I think that's a shame. I think it's a shame, and I think it will be well worth us revisiting it when we can all see each other again and watching it again. I think you'd enjoy it a lot more.
I can fully appreciate that. I think that's probably just about as much as we've got to say. Have you got anything further you'd like to add?
Oh no.
You have very much said your piece.
I've got more wine to drink.
That's the important thing, really, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's just wrap it up here. It has been a pleasure doing this episode. And please feel free to check us out on social media and our Patreon if you would like to support us in any way. Stay tuned for a fortnight's time where we have a very interesting film lined up, which we have planned already, which I'm excited by because I've never seen it.
Neither have I.
I've been aware of it for as long as I've known Sarah. So, 10, 15 years-ish. It's been a while, so I'm curious to see what it's like.
Okay. I'm excited.
So, Until then, stay spooky.
Stay spooky.